It's a BumbleKast Mini, sponsored by Ink Things.
I have been reading through the Archie comic Mega Man series, and I really love it. How did your creative process differ when creating Mega Man's comic run compared to Sonic's?
Oh, completely different. Like, Sonic was open-ended. It was always moving forward. There was always the question of what comes next, and always the promise of another game eventually introducing new elements to take into consideration. Mega Man was effectively done at that point. And so there was a whole slew of games to consider. The story was written. And even as new games came out, we were trying to be extremely faithful to what the games had produced. So that new material was so far down the line and largely was not retroactive with any of its information. We were just following the path, more or less. Mm-hmm. So it was a matter of looking at classic Mega Man, its story, all of its interconnected stuff, and then looking beyond into like X and what made sense beyond that to see where there would be threads that could potentially be woven throughout so that the whole thing felt like one cohesive narrative. Mm-hmm. The grand dream. I knew this was probably never going to happen, but still the foundational thought I had was I wanted to just tell the Mega Man story all in one go, with all the hindsight and all the material laid bare, so that one could conceivably start with volume 1 with Rock and his first adventure as Mega Man and follow the journey as it moved into X and into Zero and into ZX and into Advent and then into Legends and
it never ends, Ian. It just keeps going and going and going. Well, it eventually does end, but then what happens? Then what? Then where does the Mega Man comic go if it got all the way to the end of Mega Man Legends?
At that point, I feel like we have free reign to do whatever.
Finally. Make up your own Mega Man. While Sonic's character is fairly clear, Mega Man's character has been far less defined outside of a general strong sense of justice. How did you go about finding a clear personality for him? How did you prevent him from feeling boring?
Kind of depends on who you ask, but one of the big things is that Rock is a child. He's like 8-10 years old, and that's a very different mentality than snarky teenage Sonic. You also have the kind of fine line of how much agency does he have, because it's really gray, but the robots of his era are not supposed to have fully defined personalities. They're not supposed to be fully sapient, self-aware creations. And having such a lifelike, childlike mentality forced into these very difficult situations immediately creates some compelling drama just by the very nature of the context.
Yeah. That's you do a pretty good job of that, actually. Like,
thank you.
Mega Man just doesn't, he really doesn't have much of a personality, I guess, in terms of the games. But then again, there's not much story in the games generally to begin with. There's what's there as far as like character interactions and stuff is pretty threadbare. So,
well, I mean, there's also the notion of, okay, so he fights for justice and he doesn't want to hurt anybody. He's largely a pacifist unless pushed to act. What is the rationale of someone behind that? Mm-hmm. If the character does these things, what is their mentality that leads them to make those decisions? It's kind of working backwards, but that's the nature of this particular beat. And I don't know, for me, it really clicked when I kind of realized that if a robot master has to perform their function, and Mega Man is basically an extremely bleeding edge, almost Reploid-esque robot master when you get down to it.
Right.
What is the function that enables this mentality of I want to help and not hurt anyone? And that's what it is I want to help. He's a lab assistant, he's a cleaning robot that he wants to fix things and make things orderly. And fighting the robot masters to return the status quo, to defeat evil and ensure that justice prevails, that's kind of falls under that purview.
Right. And then you traumatized him.
Well, yeah.
Because, I mean, I guess that's what you do, you jerk. Did you ever read the Mega Man Megamix/Gigamix manga? If so, how did you feel about its representation of Mega Man compared to your own strengths, weaknesses, etc.?
I read a little bit and then backed off because I really didn't want to retread what the manga did. And the manga is kind of held in extremely high regard.
Right.
And it took a very different approach to telling the classic stories. So I kind of treated it like I do with any other fanfic stuff, in that it's somebody else's creative concept on the core material that I don't want to accidentally crib from.
Mm-hmm.
So I abstained from it, and I guess I could probably actually get back into it now, but add that to the pile of things to do when I have the chance. I mean, from what little I read, what little I saw, loved the artwork, loved the interpretations of the robot masters and extrapolating on what their other features should be given their powers, and just the kind of fun whimsy but action and also drama and trauma in it too.
Mm-hmm. All right. When you take on a project like writing Sonic or Mega Man, and I know you have wanted to cover Star Fox, Mario, Metroid, etc., how often are you already a fan of the franchise?
More often than not, I am not, believe it or not. How many times can I fit the word not into a sentence?
I do believe that, because I think a lot of people get hired for things that they may not necessarily have been a fan of at the start, but they become a fan of it, through osmosis or whatever.
like Mega Man, I was at least aware of, and I knew where to start with the research. I knew enough to know that I didn't know a lot.
Yeah.
So I knew where to begin and where to look, and understood enough about the series to see, okay, I need to look into this connection, or this doesn't sync up with what I thought I knew. Let me research that and educate myself.
And you also live with someone who is a big fan of Mega Man, so that might help.
Oh, sure. And friends David and Nadia Oxford, who wrote the Robot Master Field Guide, they're in town. If anybody's going to help with Mega Man research, I picked their brain a couple times. Stuff like the Ill-Fated Arms book. I wasn't really into ARMS. I hadn't really played it, but it's like, okay, I need to know ARMS now. So bought the game, played through it, started diving into the wiki, started doing my research. Now, if you are entering into a franchise, you need to understand it as best you can.
I mean, that would be the ideal situation. Not everybody seems to do that, though. Sometimes people just go off the rails and do their own thing. I guess it depends on your philosophy as a creator, and I guess what your bosses also want you to do, if they want you to do something that's completely different. But nah, I think it's better. It's better this way. I like your way, Ian. Speaking of those franchises, how would you have written the outcome if Mega Man tried his copy ability on the R-Wing? What about Samus's suit?
Oh, man. Mega Man with the R-Wings colors?
That would be awesome. His like a little, I can see him with like a little jetpack booster wings on his back that is R-Wing shaped. That would be cool.
It's almost like he'd have like a cutesier version of the Falcon armor.
Yeah. Or I'm just thinking of like the Rush armor.
Yeah. Flying around, doing a barrel roll. Upgrades to twin Buster hyper lasers.
Oh, yes. Yes, please.
Andross and Wily piloting a giant Andross head thinks he's got him cornered, and he fires off his secret weapon, big old charge shot Nova bomb. I want to see this now.
That'd be awesome.
Slippy and Otto geeking out over his construction. This would be great.
Oh boy.
As for Samus and her power suit, I can almost see him trying to do the copy ability on that, and just it overloading the copy chip. He just kind of goes and has to take on like maybe one power at a time. He has to integrate it in steps because the power suit is just too much for his little system to handle all in one go.
She's too powerful, which, I mean, yes.
Or maybe he can only activate one aspect of it at a time. It's basically the weapon switching that he normally has to do with the Robot Master weapons.
Especially if she has all the abilities. Mega Man with the screw attack? Ooh. That would be pretty sweet.
I do remember, it reminds me of a piece of fan art I saw years ago with Mega Man and in Samus's colors with the red and orange, and then Samus's various suit in the shades of blue. And so that works.
Yeah.
That looks sweet either way.
I've seen some fan art when Dread was new. It put Mega Man in the Dread suit, and that looked really cool. That one was pretty badass. While I'm on it, who would you think you would win in a race between Sonic, Samus with her speed upgrades, Fox in an R-Wing, and Mega Man with access to all of his abilities? What about a battle royale?
A race?
Samus is fast as heck with all her speed upgrades.
Yeah, but she's got to stick to a straight line. She doesn't really have a lot of maneuverability.
I guess technically, yeah.
So the minute you introduce a curve into the situation, she's got to readjust, and Sonic's already gone by that point.
True.
Mega Man, I can't think of a ton of speed upgrades off the top of my head, but again, I don't think it's like sustained high speed.
No.
Just general quickness. Now, the R-Wing, that thing seems to be at least semi-capable of interplanetary flight, and even if all the random crap in the Lilat system is hilariously close on actual...
on an actual scale?
Scientific scale, that's still got to be pretty quick. And with the G diffuser, it's going to be able to pull off some sick turns without turning Fox's brain into goo. So I would say an R-Wing versus Sonic fight or race. I mean, in atmosphere, that's probably going to have some effect on that too. But Sonic can apparently breathe in space, so never mind. That one would be a close one. I don't know how to call that one.
It would be awesome either way. I would like to see it.
In a fight, Sonic's not going to get a chance to catch his breath, but he's made a career out of defeating high-end, incredibly powerful robots and robot-adjacent things. I think he's got the history to say that he'd come out on top, but he would not have an easy time of it.
I'd say in a fight, just go boot up Smash Brothers Ultimate and put Sonic, Samus, Fox, and Mega Man into an AI battle and let them duke it out. See
Final destination, no items.
See who wins. There you go. It'll probably be like 25% of each every time. Once you take on a new project, what is your research process like to understand the franchise? You made some really deep cuts into Mega Man lore. Not just things like Super Adventure Rockman or the Genesis unit, but you had the mayor from Mega Man Gold Empire, which was a Taiwanese exclusive.
Yeah. First off, I start with the most basic Wikipedia type stuff, like the surface level general information to get like dates, game titles, the basic foundation of where I need to go from there. And with that cursory understanding, then I go to like fan wikis, then I go into like let's plays, long plays, and start watching and reading up on that. Because I did the initial research, I can kind of weed out what is fan speculation worked into such fan wikis and what is like hard actual evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And then I start asking around. Like I try to look at discussion groups or talk to people that I know are fans of the series, pick up on, inside jokes, stuff that they enjoyed about it, little nuancy things that I would never pick up on. With Mega Man in particular, I tapped David and Nadia, and what they didn't know, they said, okay, look at stuff like Dr. Light's Lavatory and other websites that really got into the minutia and the obscure stuff, and see what's there.
Lavatory? Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it is? Okay, that is what it is. Okay, I'm just making sure. Yay, Dr. Light's good old Dr. Light's lavatory. Well, gotta have something to do when you're sitting there. I guess.
I mean, obviously, Aaliyah was a big input too.
Well, yeah.
She helped design freaking Quake Woman and a whole bunch of other stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
I try to get as many resources as I can, but try to find that nice balance between honoring everything that's in there, but also not being super steeped in the minutia. It's got to be available to everyone.
Right. Speaking of obscure Mega Man media, have you ever read any of the recent Rockman's Son manga? They take the premise of what if Dr. Wily retired so the Robot Masters had nothing left to fight, and make Rock become a dentist using his weapon system to help in his dental work and providing counseling to other Robot Masters. Which sounds funny on its surface, but the funniest thing about it to me is that they somehow made it really good and with a lot of heart.
I have not heard of this.
I haven't either. No. But it sounds pretty funny. Yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense. He has all the tools at his disposal. But I've never heard of it. The Rockman's Son manga. Interesting. Might have to check that out. Are there any hidden details in your Sonic or Mega Man work that you don't think people ever picked up on?
Probably, but by the time that stuff came out and people didn't pick up on it, and I had already moved on to the next story arc, so I forgot it myself. So, I mean, it can't have been that big.
This is, in terms of Sonic, man, the Sonic fans are dedicated. They'll find every little nugget and crumb that they can, so it wouldn't surprise me if anything ever got through. It would surprise me.
There have been times, just at shows or here on the BumbleKast with the questions like, did you intend for this and this? And it's like either yes, haha, you picked up on it, that's great, or no. But if you thought it was clever, then yes, absolutely.
How much was Capcom involved in the process and approval of your Mega Man work? Did it differ at all from how Sega is involved with your Sonic work?
For the vast majority of it, they were extremely hands off. Like I can't really think of a note during most of the run. I was expecting to get some kind of feedback when we got to Super Adventure Rockman, but no, nothing really. It seemed to be largely clear. There must have been some note here or there, but nothing immediately springs to mind. It wasn't until we got towards the end when they actually started producing Mega Man games again, and I guess they started being more attentive to the license, that we started getting more notes back, like you can't use Waltz, you can't use Honey Woman, we don't want you using unused concepts, etc., etc. But they were also pretty flexible with a lot of stuff. So, I mean, they got hung up on Xander being the real Mr. X because Wily was Mr. X, except obviously Wily wasn't Mr. X because he was Wily. And I think that might have been down to a translation issue somewhere. But overall, from what I remember, they were much more hands off and generally way more flexible than what Archie and Sega's relationship was at the time.
Right. If you were to write a Star Fox comic run, how would you characterize Fox? What would be his biggest flaw? Not super related, but did you know his dad left him with an 80-year mortgage on the Great Fox?
Yeah, huh?
Yeah. What a jerk.
They freaking blew it up in Assault, and it's like, I hope you finished off your payments.
Hope you had insurance.
I mean, I figured that was already brokered to deal with Bentino, and he was like, you know what? I'm sure there's something in the contract. There's a clause in the event of alien invasion. Sure, blow it up. Would you like to sign another 80-year mortgage here on the Great Fox too? Yeah, thanks, Bentino. I think Fox could have a really interesting arc if we're going with the second timeline. Just to be clear, first timeline is Star Fox 1 and 2 Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Second timeline is 64 all the way to Command. And then third timeline is Star Fox 0. And it's one anime tie-in. And in the second arc, he's still young. He's just taken over Star Fox for the most part. He's kind of cocky, but he can back it up. He's got that swagger. He's got the confidence of untested youth. And there is a heroic streak in there, but it's tempered with a little bit of that kind of Top Gun cockiness that you just can't help. I mean, I think that's just kind of a McLeod genetic thing.
Yeah.
And watching that become a little more tempered and a little more tested as time goes on until you get into that nebulous region between assault and command, when he realizes he doesn't have control, that he can't account for everything, that he's not good enough to handle all the problems, and he just kind of implodes from the stress and has to learn to open up again and trust in his teammates, because you can't go solo. And Star Fox is bigger than just his legacy. It's bigger than just his name.
Mm-hmm.
It is a greater force. It's a greater network. And oh, Kyle, I want that so bad.
I just want a Star Fox comic. Ah, I would love that. And I was such a big fan of Star Fox. Really wish they would, make another one, or at least take Zero and give it controls instead of whatever they gave it. Why can't we have nice things, Ian? Why can't we? I'm sad now. But we do have one last question. How would you handle a Super Smash Bros. Comic if you were tasked with complete creative control over it, both in terms of research and prep, as well as the actual story? Who would you be most excited to write interactions between?
Oh, God, that's...
Well, you better have a commitment to allow you at least 50 issues.
I feel that's if I were to tackle something like that, I would need to be like a Renaissance era painter where, you just commission me to work on that and nothing but that.
Yes.
For the rest of my career.
Mm-hmm.
The scope of that is terrifying. As Worlds Unite showed, it can get real unwieldy real fast, trying to just do surface level cameos of that much stuff at once. And Smash Brothers is a celebration of all these iconic characters. You need to do more than just surface level. You need to honor each and every bit of it.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't know where to even begin with that. You would need you'd need some kind of core ensemble cast. You would need tentpoles, because you cannot focus on that many characters at the same time. Some would have to be relegated to supporting cast and then ancillary supporting cast.
Could you go through have different arcs that are
Subspace Emissary?
I was just thinking different characters
Maybe.
going through different arcs.
With this, I feel like you need to start at the macro and then work your way to the micro. So I think Subspace Emissary had the general right idea to introduce elements individually, work them in together, and then slowly reveal the larger cause, the greater threat that was Taboo, and then build to your big problem and have all the characters and all their individual stories converge on the one point. Everybody's taking different paths, but they all reach the same end goal.
Right.
And beyond that, I mean, some of it might just be throw names into a random generator, have it spit them out, and go, okay, how do I make sense of this? Where it also needs to have a little more structure than that. So maybe a mix of the two. Mario obviously has to be one of the principals, and he kind of brings the Mushroom Kingdom cast with him. Link would need to be one of the primaries. He brings a lot of characters and assets with that. Might be good to just look at the original Smash Brothers core team and use that as the foundational point.
Well, the big four are Mario, Pikachu, Kirby, and Link.
Yeah, but Pikachu's not... I hesitate to say Pikachu is not a character. He is. But he's not on the same level as someone like Mario or Samus or Link. You would need something like Red or a Pokemon trainer to bring a bunch of Pokemon elements with them. But maybe, I don't know. It's hard to approach a project of this size off the cuff. And it might be just something as simple as just step back, take one of the properties and see where you could put a fun spin on it. Okay, you've got Pokemon, a world of low tier sci-fi with a little bit of science horror mixed in there and lots of crazy powerful critters. You know who likes to experiment on crazy powerful critters? Space pirates.
Okay. I was gonna say Eggman, but okay, right.
See, I'm not even sure if like the non-Nintendo characters should be part of this as well.
Yeah, that's
like, are we talking Smash Brothers Ultimate?
You might
recognition.
That would be even crazier. Because I mean, even if you like just look at the spirit count in Ultimate, it's like, okay, there's like mentions and references to literally thousands of characters in franchises, and it's like, oh boy, it's a lot.
I don't know. It would be fun, absolutely, but it would take a lot of planning.
Yeah,
a lot of research, and it would be fun. It would just be exhausting.
I feel like you would have to at least have Sonic and Snake, though. I don't know, just as to have a little bit of that third party flavor, you know, since they're the OG third party representatives. I think maybe you could sneak them in there. Maybe.
Otacon. Silphco's developed an item that allows you to see ghosts. I'm gonna check it out. You see a Pokeball roll across the floor, it pops open, and Snake jumps out. Get you waiting, didn't I?
Why is Snake in the Pokeball?
Well, they couldn't find a cardboard box, and this is, much faster.
I guess that's true. Now I'm imagining the Pokemon theme in the style of the Metal Gear Solid theme.
That's a Pikachu, Snake. Its cheek pouches can produce 10,000 volts. But how's it taste?
Well, I mean, I guess it's up for debate which person Pikachu belongs to, whether it be Samus or Sonic.
Sonic doesn't own anybody. He just protects small animals.
I guess that's true. That's a good point. That's sort of his thing. Like he was trying to help Pikachu at the beginning of Ultimate. That's right.
And Samus, has a history of rescuing animals from dire situations.
Yep, true. They both do. Sonic and Samus have a lot in common.
Team Rocket and the Space Pirates team up. They start kidnapping Pokemon. She's like, the babies.
That's funny. That's funny. All right, that's it. That's all we got for this BumbleKast Mini.
Thank you to InkThinks for sponsoring this episode. If you want a BumbleKast Mini of your own, head over to patreon.com/BumbleKast, Oakley.com/BumbleKast, or become a YouTube member.
Ian said that really fast because Discord is annoying. See you next time.